Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and I have two major edge rusher updates for the Washington Commanders. First of all, the first half of this video, we're going to be talking about how upset Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals is upset with his current team. Like, very, very upset. Does this make it more likely for the Commanders to potentially trade for him? Because it sounds like he really wants out, after, even though, like, the past couple of weeks, we were hearing that they were getting closer to a deal. Now it sounds like they're as far apart as they ever were. And then second half of the video, the Washington Commanders signed an athletic freak rugby player, potential edge rusher. But when you hear his weight, you'll be like, that's a little undersized. But then he also has some amazing running back highlights as well. We're going to take a look at those highlights. We're going to break down the player, how he fits into the roster, and does he have a chance of making the final 53-man roster, the final team, all of that type of stuff. We're going to dive into all of that and more. And of course, I have a fun fact for you at the end of this video. But before we get there, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video. I know I haven't been as consistent as I normally have been, but I promise I will get there. It's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks, but I promise, especially leading up to the draft, we're going to become extremely consistent, and I even want to start to get some live streams going as well. So make sure you stay tuned. Without further ado, let's go and dive into the video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. Alright, so all of this started when Trey Hendrickson went on to the Pat McAfee show, and he dropped some bombs. He said some things publicly that I didn't necessarily expect a player to say publicly about his current team, especially when it comes to contract negotiations and everything like that. But I guess it's gotten to the point where he's just completely done with the whole situation. It's gotten so sour that he doesn't mind blowing up everybody's spot by putting it all out there for everybody to hear, see, and know. I mean, it all started with the main quote that came from it, and we're going to dive into all of the major quotes that came from the situation and why it sounds like Trey Hendrickson is even more likely to end up getting traded from the Cincinnati Bengals than we thought originally. The main quote, though, was, quote, "Communication has been poor over the last couple of months. That's something I hold in high regard. They have not communicated with my agent directly. It's been something that's been a little frustrating, unquote." And of course, that's more than likely him downplaying that. He's live on television, ESPN, Pat McAfee show, millions watching, saying all of this for everybody to see, hear, and know. I mean, he even said, quote, "When I say the communication has been poor, I mean that it has been here and there. We don't have any desire to be the highest paid, and we've tried to be as patient as possible," unquote. So in Trey Hendrickson's eyes, he feels like he's doing the Bengals a favor by not asking for more money than he probably feels like he even deserves. He's probably like, all right, I'll come down on what I actually want and what I'm asking for a little bit, and they're still not meeting me there. So Trey Hendrickson at this point feels disrespected again. He's very upset about the situation. He even said, quote, "With the market continuing to go up, I'm not going to apologize for that, because I've been basically asking for the same thing every year and to be solidified as a Cincinnati Bengal for life. And the fact that he's willing to go say all of this in front of everybody else, maybe that whole Bengal for life thing has been thrown out of the window, man. Maybe he's just absolutely sick of it." Shouts out to Bleacher Report for saying that. Trey Hendrickson's future with the Cincinnati Bengals remains up in the air this offseason amid rumors surrounding a new contract or a potential trade. And the pass rusher opened up about the process being frustrating. Hendrickson appeared on Wednesday's episode of the Pat McAfee show and responded to comments from Bengals executive vice president Katie Blackburn, suggesting the next step is now up to the player. And that's where a lot of this started. Like, the catalyst for the reason he even ended up on the Pat McAfee show to even throw all of this information out there and vent his frustration came from Katie Blackburn. We'll get there soon and what she said that caused him to go on the Pat McAfee show and say what he said. But he said, quote, "I don't want to play for incentives that are out of my control. I don't want to play for a short-term contract. I would prefer to not address these things, but it's a respect thing when I'm hearing details about my contract that aren't privy to me," unquote. So he's basically in the dark as much as we are. Like, he's kind of like a third party type of guy. Even though this is involving him, he's hearing about things over the internet rather than directly from the Cincinnati Bengals themselves. So he does not like how the Cincinnati Bengals are handling this situation at all. Again, he's even said that they're not even talking directly to his agent, let alone him. He even said, quote, 3 years ago, I began to ask for a long-term contract with guaranteed money. It was very confusing to read what I read yesterday. We're going to get to what he read yesterday again from Katie Blackburn. But it sounds like he's been asking for the same amount of money since 3 years ago. And 3 years ago was before he went out there and gave you 17 and a half sacks, 2 seasons in a row each. Like, this guy has given you 17 and a half sacks 2024 and 17 and a half sacks 2023. It sounds like he was asking for a certain amount of money before he even went and did that. And then now the Bengals keep playing around. You know, of course, they focused and prioritized paying Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and those guys. But it sounds like they've played around to the point. They've waited so long that now Trey Hendrickson's price has risen from what he was potentially asking for from 3 years ago, which makes sense. There is called a market for a reason. Like, edge rushers are getting paid more money this year than they were 3 years ago when he was asking for his contract. So naturally, his price would go up. I mean, teams' cap spaces have gone up. They have more money to spend on players. And Trey Hendrickson is an elite player, and if they don't want to pay the price, it sounds like Trey Hendrickson is like, yeah, I'm ready to go. But again, it's the comments that he read technically on Tuesday that caused all of this drama that ensued on Wednesday. Because Bengals executive Katie Blackburn explained why the team allowed Trey Hendrickson to seek a trade, and this is what I guess got under Trey Hendrickson's skin. She said, as you're trying to put all of these pieces together, you have certain limitations eventually. So he seemed to feel strongly about it and thought the strength of interest out there was going to be at a certain level. Basically, she's basically being petty and saying he thought that other teams would want him real bad. Then he went out there and saw the trade, and then teams weren't as interested as he thought. That was kind of like a slight jab to him. You got to read in between the lines right there. Continuing with the quote. And so we said that it would be okay to at least explore, and so we don't do that all the time. But in this case, we felt like it was the right thing to do, case by case basis every time. So they basically, again, another read in between the lines, slight jab. You know, we normally don't let players seek trades, but we're going to do this favor for you. But it's more so because, we know no team is going to be willing to trade whatever our asking price is. That's probably what's holding up all of this. You know, it's one thing to have to pay Trey Hendrickson the money that he wants, but the Bengals are probably asking for way more in return than they probably should be, especially with how much Trey Hendrickson wants to get paid. So shouts out to them for playing these incredibly complicated games to end up keeping Trey Hendrickson around against his will at this point. And then she also said, and he's still a Bengal, so we'll see. It's just something that we'll keep working through, unquote. Again, they're just playing the hard game with them. They're like, hey, who's gonna fold first? You're still technically on contract. You are a Bengal. We are not obligated to trade you. I mean, of course you would like to be traded, but we don't have to. You are under contract for this upcoming 2024 season. You can't just go anywhere. You are not a free agent. So they're playing hardball with him right now, and he is not liking it. And so he even said on the Pat McAfee show, quote, those comments from Katie Blackburn were definitely disappointed, and communication has been poor over the last couple of months. It's been a little bit frustrated, and if they have anything they'd like to discuss, we're definitely willing to listen, unquote. And for him to have to go on ESPN on Pat McAfee's show for millions of people to see, for him to say that, he couldn't just say that to them directly. It sounds like they really aren't listening to him. Maybe they have talked and they just ignored him, or maybe they're literally not picking up his phone calls. Again, he even said that they haven't even talked to his agent directly in the past couple of months. So they're like completely just sending him the voicemail of what it seems like. So he had to go on national television to let everybody know, hey, Bengals, I'm willing to listen to what's going on. But right now, we haven't even discussed the contract recently. Like, y'all may not even exactly know what number I'm looking for anymore. It could have changed within the past few days, a couple of weeks. You know, this whole situation is chaos, man. He also said, quote, it's been an interesting dilemma and it's been a very unique experience. I personally would love to be in Cincinnati, but I'll play wherever, unquote. And that's a very important part right there, because he has been pretty adamant about staying a Bengal for the remainder of his career. Of course, not his entire career. Remember, the Saints drafted him, and then he ended up on the Cincinnati Bengals, and then that's when he took off and was getting 17 and a half sacks a season, leading the NFL in sacks. This man has had 36 sacks the past 2 seasons, y'all. I don't think y'all understand how ridiculous that is, but The fact that now on the Pat McAfee show, as recently as yesterday, Wednesday, he's going out there and saying, I'm willing to play for any team. And whoever's willing to basically pay me my money, and whoever's willing to give the Cincinnati Bengals whatever they feel like is proper compensation for me in a trade, I'm willing to play anywhere, man. I just want out of here because right now his priority is his money. You know, and the Bengals are a pretty good team, but I'm not exactly sure if you count them as a Super Bowl contender. So maybe he has a preference for Super Bowl contenders like the Commanders. But right now, it seems like his number one priority is for him to get the money that he feels like he deserves. And on an average per year basis right now, Myles Garrett is the highest paid edge rusher at $40 million. Danielle Hunter is second at $35.6 per year. Max Crosby's third at $35.5. Max Crosby was the highest paid edge rusher for like a couple of days. Then here came Myles Garrett and then Danielle Hunter to go right past him. Then you still have Nick Bosa fourth at $34 million per year. Then you have Josh Allen of the Jaguars at $28.25 million. Brian Burns of the Giants at $28.2 million. Then you get the TJ Watt, and amazingly enough, you have Montez Sweat as well. Then you have Rashawn Gary at $24 million, and then you get the Trey Hendrickson, who's making $21 million per year, and he feels like he should be up there with at least Nick Bosa and Max Crosby, or maybe at least at the very worst above Josh Allen, who's at $28.25 million, who's the fifth paid highest guy. But there's a gap of almost $6 million between Josh Allen and the guy ahead of him and Nick Bosa. So maybe Trey Hendrickson is willing to go somewhere in between there, maybe closer to Nick Bosa, maybe somewhere like $32 million a year, which would make him the fifth highest paid edge rusher in the entire NFL. Who knows exactly what number he's looking for, because we don't even exactly know what the Bengals are offering him right now. We're getting reports of the Dallas Cowboys are offering to make Micah Parsons the highest paid edge rusher, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. We don't exactly know what number that is, but we know what number it has to at least surpass, which is Jamar Chase over there, who just signed with the Bengals, which takes us back to Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals don't have a lot of cap space to work with, man. Just paid Joe Burrow just a couple of years ago. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins this offseason. There's not a lot of money to go around, and Trey Hendrickson may end up being the odd man out, like we said. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, honestly, extending these guys make them cheaper for 2025 specifically. So technically now, after paying Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they probably have more cap space to pay Trey Hendrickson this year. But when it comes to long term, it's getting a little overcrowded right now. You see the 49ers, after struggling to pay all of their top players, now things are going haywire there. They had to trade Debo. Brandon Ayuk's hurt. He's eating up a lot of cap space, and they're trying to trade him, but nobody wants him. Brock Purdy's no longer in his rookie deal. He's getting paid a lot of money. That's hurting them as well. And it seems like the Cincinnati Bengals are in a similar situation. At the very least, their guys aren't injury prone, but it just gets to a point where you can't pay all of your superstars. I don't know how the Eagles necessarily do it. There's some teams out there that always figure out a way to finesse the contracts. It seems like the Bengals just aren't one of them. I hope the Commanders are. But now, a problem as far as the Commanders go, because it sounds like Trey Hendrickson is available right now. The Bengals aren't even talking to him about money. I guess they're in a situation where they're viewing it as, hey man, worst case scenario, you're just going to end up playing for us this season on whatever money you're getting paid right now. You're not about to go on strike or anything like that. You're not about to sit here and boycott the team and not play at all this season and skip on all of the money. You're not going to Hassan Reddick yourself, basically what he just did with the Jets after forcing his way out from the Eagles. You're not going to put yourself in that situation, are you? So Trey Hendrickson really doesn't have much leverage here, where it's like come week one of the regular season, Trey Hendrickson will be out there in the Bengals jersey, going out there and trying to get another 17.5 sack season. So the Bengals really feel no pressure to pay this guy. I mean, maybe they'll try to figure something out after the season when he becomes a free agent, and then now it's like, okay, we got to figure out a way to pay him. Otherwise, he's going to leave as just an unrestricted free agent unless they try to franchise tag him or something like that. But right now, they feel no need to rush, whereas Trey Hendrickson, or especially teams like the Commanders that are potentially interested in Trey Hendrickson, we want to get something done now before the season starts. I'm assuming that if Trey Hendrickson does end up getting traded, and I don't think it's very likely, but if he does, I feel like it'll be a draft day trade, similar to how AJ Brown got traded from, I think it was the Titans, right, to the Eagles. It'll probably be some draft day thing like that, but who knows? I just if it even does happen, which again I think is very slim. I think the only time that it makes sense is probably on draft day, sometime during the first round, whether it's for a first or a second round pick. But speaking of picks, remember we only have 5 draft picks right now, so that's where the Commander side of this gets a little weird. But at the same time, the odds of you getting a Trey Hendrickson level player, 17.5 sacks a season for the past 2 years, at pick 29 in the first round and 61st in the second round, extremely slim. I would say pretty much 0%, especially when we're trying to win a Super Bowl right now, like this year. I know we are not going all in on this year like the Rams did a few years ago. I mean, they're still trying to build for the future at the same time while also building for right now, walking that like thin line of both now and future. But even as talented as a rookie may be, I highly doubt he's gonna come right out the gate and get you 15 plus sacks in his rookie season. And that's what we kind of need right now. Trey Hendrickson would make us a far better Super Bowl contender than any pick we could use that we would send to the Bengals to get him, either 29th overall or 61st. I mean, Myles Garrett got 13.5 sacks his rookie season as a first overall pick. And now, granted, that is elite. That's great and all. But first of all, that's a number 1 overall pick compared to our 29th. And even that's still 4 sacks less than what Trey Hendrickson has done each of the last 2 years. Not just one fluky season. He's done it 2 years in a row, 17.5 sacks. Now, of course, Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in the entire NFL, still in my opinion. But he's never had 17.5 sacks in a season. And Trey Hendrickson has done it twice back-to-back very recently, not years ago, just 2024 and 2023. Now, there's a reason that he's able to lead the NFL in sacks and still not be considered the best defensive player in the NFL, and that's because he doesn't stop the run at a very high level. But still, this team signed and re-signed about like 6 run stoppers this offseason on the defensive line, especially edge rusher-wise, so we got that covered. And at the very least, Trey Hendrickson is significantly, at the very least, better than Dante Fowler when it comes to stopping the run and setting the edge, ever was for us last year. So, I mean, that would still be an upgrade, even run stopping wise. But he's not like an elite run stopper, but I don't care. We're bringing him in here to continue to put up 17.5 sack seasons. Yeah, I know he's a little older. He's up there in age and probably only has like 3 to 5 really good years left in him. But you are very, very unlikely to draft Trey Hendrickson in this upcoming draft, especially with us being so good that we are going to consistently be picking late in the draft. I don't expect us to ever have a top 5 pick to potentially get a Myles Garrett or a Khalil Mack level player. I mean, in 3 to 5 years is all we need to maximize the Super Bowl window that we have right now with Jaden, who's still on his rookie deal. That we have like 3 to 4 years until Jaden Daniels is eating up a ridiculous amount of cap space. So I feel like the time is now, if you want to take risks, to continue to take risks. And Adam Peters even said it in his press conference at the NFL owners meeting just a couple of days ago. He said, we're not likely to trade for another player, but we're still open and listening. You know, the fact that we only have 5 draft picks, it does bother me. But at the end of the day, if some player becomes available that we think could make us way better and give us a great chance of winning a Super Bowl, we will come up off one or multiple of those 5 picks, and we'll just have to figure it out from there. I mean, again, we don't have a lot of draft picks already. And yes, giving up another one would hurt. But again, this guy immediately makes you like the Super Bowl contender. Like the number 1, probably even surpassing the Eagles in odds. I mean, me personally, the only real concern I have as far as trading for Trey Hendrickson is paying everybody. Draft pick wise, whatever. You can have the 29th or 61st. I don't care that much. I really don't. And y'all know I'm draft guy. I mean, you see it in my shirt. I care more about the draft. I'm similar to Adam Peters, man. The draft and team building is my favorite part of football. I care more about the draft process, player evaluation, scouting, even more so than watching the games on Sundays. Like, I love team building, draft, general manager work. And Adam Peters does as well. It hurts for him to trade away draft picks. It hurts me when I'm doing these mock drafts and we only have 5 picks. But at the end of the day, if a guy like Trey Hendrickson is available, you gotta make that move. I feel like, again, my only problem is though the money. How do we pay everybody? Because we have to extend Terry this offseason. We should extend Laramie Tunsil this offseason, and then we'll have to pay Deebo Samuel next offseason. And then so you pay Trey Hendrickson crazy money. I mean, I'm just not sure how all of that is achievable, but who knows, man? Again, we brought in Brandon Sosna from the Lions to come in and finesse contracts for that exact reason. He's done a pretty good job since he's been here this offseason. He came like late offseason, like after we already signed a bunch of free agents, so this is like his real first offseason with the Commanders, especially free agency wise. And I liked what he's done so far with the way our contracts are set up. We may be able to finesse a way to pay everybody long term that we want to pay. We'll see. Maybe some guys, if they see that we're like a Super Bowl contender, like the Super Bowl contender, maybe they'll take a little less money because they're like, hey man, when in doubt, at least they're giving me a great opportunity that's hard to come by, and that's winning Super Bowls. We'll see. Now moving on, speaking of edge rushers, the Washington Commanders announced the signing of an edge rusher themselves, TJ Maguranyanga. I hope, please let me know if that's how you pronounce that last name. He is a defensive end. He is 22 years old. He's from Zimbabwe, but he played professional rugby, just to let you know. And on April 22nd, the start of the offseason program, TJ will officially become the team's IPP. That's the International Pathway Program player. Of course, we got to break that down. You already know we got to break down what that means and why you're allowed to have an extra player on your roster for that type of person. Again, he's a Zimbabwean professional rugby player for ASM Claremont Arvergne. I hope that's how you pronounce that. I'm struggling over here. Somebody please throw me a life jacket, a raft, or something. But either way, in December 2024, TJ actually became an NFL player already, being selected for the league's International Player Pathway Program. And just to let you know, he's 6'5", but at the same time, he's really lean, 223 pounds. Like, I weigh more than this guy, and I'm like 6 foot flat. So that is a little concerning there when it comes to, like, okay, you want to be an edge rusher? Yeah, you're 6'5". That's great and all. You probably have long arms and all of that. But what are you doing at 223 pounds at 6'5"? Sounds like more of a basketball player, if anything. But at the same time, again, he's only 22 years old. He has a lot of potential to him. There's still some time for him to progress and especially, like, developing physically as well. Because, I mean, 223 pounds, that's my biggest concern here. But again, as a rugby player, he's going to be a developmental project that we'll see, like, in the future if he can contribute anything. I'm not expecting him to be a guy that'll necessarily contribute in 2025, this upcoming season, because they're making that transition from rugby to the NFL again at 223 pounds. I really want to emphasize how skinny that is. That's pretty crazy. We'll see, though. I mean, in recent years, Washington has had an IPP player each season, and most of these guys have been defensive linemen. Like, you had David Bada in 2020. You had F.A.O. Bada, who spent 3 seasons on the Washington's regular season roster and also came to the NFL through the IPP program. And then you also had tight end Samus Reyes, who spent the 2021 season in Washington, was on the Vikings practice squad last season. And then last season, the Commanders also had defensive lineman Haggai Chisum in Ndubisi. I hope that's how you pronounce that name. Please, somebody throw me a life raft. But he ended up not getting re-signed this offseason. But the Commanders always keep an IPP player around. And it's kind of like, why not? I mean, if they're an additional spot on the roster, they're not taking up one of your 90-man roster spots during the offseason. And they're also an additional spot given to you on the practice squad, even during the regular season. I think it's really like a big why not. There's no risk involved, and it's all ceiling, all potential. We'll see. And just to break it down for you, each of the 32 NFL clubs is eligible to fill a 17th roster spot on this practice squad during the regular season, reserved for an international pathway player. A participating club is permitted to elevate its international practice squad player to its active roster a maximum of 3 times throughout the season, though. So that's kind of the tricky part right there. You just can't stow them away on your practice squad and keep them there permanently. Increasing the flexibility for clubs to leverage the additional player while creating more opportunity to play. I like that. So you're not just going to put this guy in the refrigerator all season. You have to add him to the active roster at least 3 times throughout the season if you're going to sit here and stow him away on your practice squad. I love that rule. I feel like the NFL did wonderfully with that. How they've been tweaking it and changing it year after year. Because at first, just a couple of years ago, you couldn't even have them on your practice squad. It was purely an all-season thing. As soon as we cut down the 53-man roster, the guy had to go. Now they're that 17th guy on the practice squad, but again, you have to activate them 3 times. I love that. Each club will also receive 1 training camp roster exemption spot for the qualifying player. So again, this is your 91st player. Typically, your team is only allowed to have 90 players throughout the offseason, like training camp and things like that. But because you have this IPP player, now you have a 91st spot. So again, you have a 91st player during the offseason and a 17th practice squad player during the regular season. We'll see how this goes, though. I'm really excited, man. I mean, just a quick breakdown of them that comes from the website that I believe, like, covers the rugby team. They said at just 22 years old, TJ is set to embark on a journey that could lead to a place on an NFL roster. The IPP program launched in 2017. They even spelled program a little bit differently, so it is definitely not American. Aims to identify and develop exceptional athletic talent from around the world for American football. And I love the fact that we're scouting this hard. First of all, we're taking advantage of what the NFL is allowing. They allow you to have a 91st player during the offseason, a 17th practice squad player during the regular season. Why not take advantage of that? Again, there's no risk. So at the very least, do your due diligence and make sure you have somebody there, because the more bodies, the better. Injuries, you never know. This guy may have a ceiling. Maybe he's that one guy that figures it out. Remember, like Jordan Mailata, the left tackle for the Eagles, through a similar thing. He was a rugby player, and now he's one of the best left tackles in all of football. And I tried to warn y'all about him back in my mock draft form. I think I took him in like the 6th or 7th round in my mock draft. The year that he was coming out, I don't feel the same way about this TJ guy, but there's always a chance that these guys something could click and they just take off and they become a great player. And it's hard to make it going from rugby to the NFL, but again, a guy like Jordan Mailata can do it. Who knows, TJ may be able to do so as well. But also my main point is the fact that we're combing through everywhere possible. Of course, you can't have eyes everywhere in the entire world, but at least we're trying. We're looking at rugby teams in Africa like, hey man, maybe this guy can come and help the Commanders. So I love the fact that our scouting department is not lazy. They're not doing the bare minimum. They're looking everywhere that they can to potentially improve this team and add some serious talent. So I love that. Going back to the article, participants undergo a rigorous 10-week training regimen, including an on-the-field skill development and classroom education at the world-class IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. Oh, I didn't know they did that at IMG Academy. I love IMG Academy. Shouts out to them. They're always giving my Georgia Bulldogs some great prospects. That's a really weird high school, too, because most of those guys that go to that high school aren't even from Florida. Like Ellis Robinson, I think is from like Connecticut or New Jersey or something, and then he went to IMG Academy. It's pretty much like a college-like high school, and then he went to Georgia after that. But either way, going back to TJ, he's one of 14 athletes chosen for the 2025 cohort, which will include his training with a showcase at the University of South Florida's Pro Day in March, where scouts from NFL clubs will evaluate the players. So that's already happened, I'm assuming. We got a chance to look at that, and we're like, okay, we're interested in this guy. Let's bring him in. We have a needed edge rusher. Why not? We're looking for a potential pass rusher. I know he's really skinny. We could add some real weight to him with an NFL diet, NFL gym, NFL workout program. Maybe we could get that weight out of him, that potential out of him, and maybe he could end up being a really good pass rusher that just came out of nowhere. Peter O'Reilly, the NFL's executive vice president for international events and club business, expressed excitement about this year's participants. He said, quote, "The class of 2025 is an exciting one, and we are delighted to welcome these talented athletes from around the world. The IPP program offers life-changing opportunities for international talent, and we look forward to following their progress," unquote. So the guy that's running this whole thing feels like, hey, this 2025 crop maybe there's something there. Like maybe a couple of these guys make it. We'll see if TJ is one of them. Then the article also says the IPP program attracts athletes from diverse sports backgrounds, including rugby, basketball, Gaelic football, the track and field, ensuring a broad pool of talent for the NFL's global development initiatives. TJ has already made a name for himself in rugby, excelling in France and shining in Africa's men's sevens tournament in Mauritius. I hope that's how you pronounce that. Although an injury prevented him from debuting for Zimbabwe's Sables in the African Cup, he demonstrated resilience by pivoting towards a new goal, playing in the NFL. So an injury cut short of what he could have achieved as far as rugby goes. Now he's going to take his talents to the NFL. Hopefully the Commanders could get something out of him. His journey mirrors that of Nate Landman, the only other Zimbabwean to feature in the NFL. Landman, whose father played rugby for Zimbabwe, joined the Atlanta Falcons after his standout college football career in Colorado. TJ now aims to follow his footsteps. Even though TJ didn't play for any American college football team, he's going directly from rugby to the NFL. TJ's path has not been without challenges, though. Again, a serious leg injury during his time at ASM Claremont Vergne sidelined him for an entire season, casting doubt on his future in professional sports. However, his determination saw him recover and make his international rugby debut earlier this year, a milestone that paved the way for his selection to the IPP program. With the IPP program providing world-class training and exposure, TJ's transition from rugby to the American football represents a bold step in his career. Should he secure a spot in the NFL, he would not only achieve a personal milestone, but also bring pride to Zimbabwe as his latest representative on the global sports stage. And I love that too. I love the fact that they take pride in that. And now let's take a look at some of his rugby highlights. And I'm not gonna lie, this is a big guy. I want him to gain some weight, but this is a big guy right here too. Interesting haircut too, man. He looked like a Blade. But man, hey, we may need to put this guy at running back, dog. I mean, but there goes a really good tackle right there. This is a big guy. He's just bigger than everybody else out there. It's going to be interesting to see what he looks like when he's going against like NFL talent of other guys that are big like him. They're the athletic freaks from their corners of the world and their corners of their cities and states, their neighborhoods and things like that. But he has some speed to him too. Okay, he's outrunning people way smaller than him. So, I mean, we don't have any official testing from him, but right now he does look like a serious athlete. And people, hey, Hey, we kind of have a need for running back a little bit right now too, man. I ain't gonna lie, but as soon as I say that, he gets another tackle, I guess. I don't know, man. I kind of like him, man. Hey, again, there's no risk involved. Good pursuit tackle. I don't even exactly understand which way. I don't know rugby rules. I don't know what's going on, but shouts out to him, man. Hey, again, no risk. Super high reward potentially if it works out. I love the move. I feel like this is just an obvious move. I don't understand how all NFL teams, all 32 of them, don't at least every year have somebody that's a part of their IPP to take advantage of that 91st roster and 17th practice squad spot during the regular season. I don't see why everybody doesn't do it. Now, shouts out to Commanders Wire because they bring up a good point. The Commanders really need an edge rusher right now. With TJ's youth and size, you have to wonder if the Commanders think that TJ can be developed into that. Even if not, he's a big body to put on the line, and as a guy who's used to pushing through a scrum, he's going to be tough to block. I mean, as you saw from those highlights, some of those traits can translate to being an edge rusher. Even his running back carries, it's hard for people to stay in front of him and bring him down. So, hey man, maybe offensive linemen will struggle with that as well. We'll see. I mean, again, we have so many run stoppers all throughout this defensive line right now, especially the edge rusher group with Cleveland Farrell, Dedrick Wise, and I mean, like, it's so much run stopping. We don't really have a lot of pass rush potential, especially now losing Dante Fowler to the Cowboys. We'll see if Jacob Martin, who we brought over from the Bears, can contribute as a pass rusher. Dante Fowler shows flashes, and then we'll see about Javonte Jean-Baptiste, who showed flashes last year as a 7th round rookie, but he kept getting hurt occasionally. But I mean, right now, we don't have a, like, true serious pass rush floor. We have some potential, but we don't have anybody that I know that guy's going to get you double-digit sacks next year. Frankie Louvu right now is our best pass rusher. He's our off-ball linebacker that needs to go in coverage occasionally. So on third downs, we can't just necessarily send him at the quarterback every time. We need a designated guy that's good at getting after the quarterback. Maybe TJ could be that guy, but as of right now, we don't have him. That's why we're talking about potentially trading for Trey Hendrickson. That's why we're talking about edge rusher has to be the pick in the first round. Best edge rusher available when the 29th pick comes up, because we have a serious pass rushing need right now. But also, shouts out to Ben Stadden because it brings up a good point. When asked about banning the tush push, Dan Quinn just a couple of days ago said, quote, "I spend more time thinking of ways to stop it," unquote. And then 2 days later, the Commanders signed 6'5", 200, nearly 30-pound rugby player. I mean, maybe those two things align. Maybe the tush push, how do we stop that? Athletic freak from Zimbabwe, who knows? We'll see, but I'm pretty sure they're trying to develop this guy into maybe a guy that could be a really good pass rusher for us, maybe like a year or two from now. I don't expect it being in 2025. I mean, I wouldn't put any money on it happening ever at all, ever. But, you know, I think best case scenario, he turns into like a really good edge rusher. But again, him coming from rugby, you know, with us knowing the ins and outs of football since we were little, since we could barely even run. You know, we're like 3 years old. We already, like, we're growing up, you know, elementary school, you know what a first down is, you know what zone coverage is, you know what cover 2 means. These guys coming from rugby have to learn all of that crash course, things that we just slowly learned over the course of our lifetimes of growing up in America. These guys get a crash course in it, so it takes a while. My point is, I don't expect him to do anything in 2025, but who knows? Maybe 2026, maybe 2027, he turns into a huge steal again. Remember the Jordan Mailata story, but at the same time, you also have the Samus Reyes of the world that didn't work out. We'll see where TJ falls a line in. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release informative, opinionated video just like this one. Of course, I have a fun fact for you. Tackle Charles Leno was the Commanders' nominee for Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award for 2022. Yo, they really be digging for these 2022 ones, man. I need to ball this one up and throw it away. I'm already sick of the 2022 facts, but then that fact was even worse because it was a Walter. I mean, shouts out to Walter Payton Man of the Year Awards. I mean, that's not something to just scoff at, but I mean, the fact that he didn't even win it, it said he was nominated for it. Like, what kind of, I could have came up with a better fun fact than that for today, but either way, that's your fun fact according to this Commanders calendar. Either way, sorry that the fun fact was that underwhelming, but either way, I really appreciate y'all. Make sure you leave a like on the way out, and of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the Trey Hendrickson situation. How do you feel about the TJ situation? Of course, if you can help me learn how to pronounce his last name or whatever, or any of the things that I mispronounced throughout this video, please let me know that in the comment section as well. Again, my whole purpose of creating this YouTube channel was for us to create a smart football environment, and sometimes I could be wrong, sometimes I could be slipping, so always make sure y'all correct me in the comment section section, I see sometimes people even point out, oh, you had a misspelling in your thumbnail. I appreciate all of those, man. So I really appreciate y'all. Make sure all of y'all calling me out for, you know, I say something wrong, I forget something. So let me know how y'all feel about everything, especially Trey Hendrickson and TJ. Catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm out.